So I was hanging out with my daughter, Ilana. We call her Illy. We call her all kinds of things. Illy Bean, Ilana Banana. I call her Illery sometimes. I was hanging out with her, and we were sitting at the table, kitchen table, and we were looking at photos on my phone and video on my phone. And I was looking at my iPhone the other day, and I noticed that I had 13,000 photos and images, 13,000 pictures and videos. And so we're looking at a video of when my daughter was like 1. I can't remember what she was doing in the video, but we're watching her, and we're laughing. We're looking back on her life when she was 1 year old. And I know there are a lot of people who have video of themselves when they were a child. But I looked at Ilana and I was like, did you know that there are no videos of your dad when he was your age? And she's like, what? Like, it was this crazy thing to her. And I just think about this day and age, like video and cell phones and even audio podcasting and the power of media and its ability to endure over time. We all know, even you look at old photographs, some of that stuff has endured for a long time. You look at old VHS videotapes, and even some people still have film that you need a special reel and projector to watch. It was just an interesting thing to think about how my daughter she'll be able to be my age someday, 40 years old. I just turned 40 on January 15th yesterday. And she'll be able to look back and say, hey, let's watch that video of when I was 1 year old. And, man, I don't have that ability. I don't have that luxury, I assume. But what I'm really enjoying about doing these daily podcasts and even doing video, God knows how long YouTube's going to live on. How long is Google Drive going to exist? How long is Dropbox going to exist? Or how long is the hard drive sitting on your desktop? How long is that going to last? I had a trip down memory lane the other day. So memory lane for me, like I have photos of when I was in high school. I think that's the time in my life where I took the most amount of pictures. But I do have pictures from when I was in elementary school and we had school days, but we don't have a lot of family photos. And there's certainly not VHS tapes sitting around of our family and our life from way back in the day. We just have memories, but I have a hard drive that goes back to like 2004 or 2005. And so I can actually look back 16 years at this point. Gosh, what is that? 17 years, 2005 to 2015 to 2022. So I have a little bit of an archive of my life, and it's real interesting going back and looking at some of those pictures, and those pictures, they provoke memory. And I think about that time in my life, and that was my 20s, it was like right smack dab in the middle of my 20s. I was 24, 23, 24, 25, all the way till when I moved to Kansas, I was 28. So, I look back, and this is what I was thinking about as far as making this video and recording this audio. So we celebrated a new year, and I did my year in review. And it's one of the first times that I've ever logged my thoughts about looking back on a year. And every year we get to look back on a year, but I just turned 40. And so I saw it fit to start thinking about what is it like to look back on a decade. Like, it's one thing to look back on a year. You can look back on a month, look back on a day, but then you start considering decades. And I'm like, man, I've lived from the time I was born to 10 years old. That's one decade. And then 10 years old to 20 years old. That's a second decade, right? And then 20 to 30 was a wild ass decade for me. And then 30 to 40 has been a really interesting decade. And to look back and think about life decades at a time. And so I just want to say that I'm 40 now, and I know I've said that a million times, but this is me looking back at my life, right? This is the time. This is my time to do it. And so it might be that when I'm 80 and I'm looking back and saying, hey, pull up that video that I did in my garage when I was 40 years ago. Pull that up. I want to hear what I had to say. What was 40-year-old Jason thinking about? What was he up to? And I just love that idea of being able to record some of this stuff. And, there are, and the thing about it is, there are tape recorders, and people have recorded stuff on tape, and a lot of people have recorded some of their life in VHS tape, and you can go back and you can see what they were talking about. But I just love this idea of like audio journaling and even video journaling. People do vlogs, like a video blog, but thinking about it big picture, it's like really crazy to me to think that we're going to be able to look back and see actual video and listen to audio podcast episodes of, when I was younger. That's if, we hold on to this stuff, if these things endure, if these things last over time. So I did a lot of thinking back on the decade, and there's a few things that I want to highlight, but I think I'm more interested in thinking about what will be versus what was. And so that, I want to honor the past, and I want to embrace the future. That's what we kind of talk about. Honor the past, embrace the future. And so my 30s, when I turned 30, I had just moved to Wichita 2 years prior, and I was still single at 30. I was pastoring a church plant, and we were very outreach driven, growth driven. Looking back at 30, and if I were to go and listen to a sermon, I'd be like, who was this guy and what the heck was he talking about? Like, this dude didn't know what in the world was going on. I applaud, if I could speak to 30-year-old Jason, I applaud your courage to have left a life that you always knew to embrace something new. I think there's something to be said about that. And moving to a place and meeting new people and trying something different, and even knowing that you didn't know what you were doing or how things were going to turn out, you still took that leap and you embraced that challenge. And I think the most important thing that you experienced was building new relationships with people, because looking back, those are the only things that have endured, are those relationships that you've built. And not all of them. A lot of those people turned into acquaintances. There were a few friends, but you also gained family. I got married at 32 years old to Kim, and inherited an amazing family. I hear horror stories about in-laws, and I have not experienced that to the slightest. Like, I have an amazing family. So got married at 32, I think. And maybe it's 33. I don't remember. When did I get married? 2006? Jeez, I don't even know, you guys. I don't freaking remember. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. 2006, 2016, 2014, maybe it's 20. Oh, it's 2014. Gosh, it just took me a second. That's freaking hilarious. 2014. Is that right? Gosh, I don't remember. 2011, we started the church. We shut it down in 2014. Yeah, I got married in 2014. So that's what I was trying to get at. Like, there's some milestones. I got married at 2014. We had Alana in 2016. So there it is. Got married. We ended up shutting down that church and starting a new ministry called the Source Wichita. And that is a story in and of itself. I'll have to chronicle that some other day. But we started that new ministry, the Source. Got married, right? Had a kid. I'm just thinking about some of the major things. I went back into the workforce. That was a big deal. January of 2015, I got hired, or February 2015, I got hired by a company called Transitions Group, and that's where I met Karen Cundiff, and she's amazing. We still keep in touch. And I spent 4 years there at Transitions Group, and it was a lot longer than I thought it would be. But I've told some of my story about how I got discontent, started making some moves, ended up at Redguard, and fast forward to 2022, I'm now fully self-employed. But got back into the workforce, and it was 4 years there at Transitions Group, and it was grinding, it was working, it was trying to pay down debt, it was doing a bunch of things. And I think one of the major changes that I experienced in that time was what was most important to me. And I realized it wasn't money. It was family, and it was time with family. As we had Alana in 2016, things really started to shift for me when I had to drop her off at daycare every day. Essentially, I say daycare. There's more to that. She stayed with family, but having to drop her off every day and then go sit at a desk and just doing that day after day, year after year, it really sucked. And so my priorities started to change, and even my faith, like that's a big situation. My faith started to shift. And I really moved away from being a pastor, preacher, teacher, to questioning what I truly believed and what I believed according to like traditional Western evangelical Christianity. I think that's a better phrase. Oh, in that decade of 30 to 40, we started the Salty Dogs podcast, and that was a big deal. I started taking trips to Colorado in my late 30s, and that was a big deal. Getting to the mountains, taking health seriously, all that stuff. I mean, that's all part of my journey, right? I'm just turning 40, so even last year, 2021 was a big shift in a year for me. I traveled internationally finally. Just a lot of different things, a lot of little things that I'm not really, that aren't, I mean, they were pivotal. Started a business. We started Tove Media, Livestream Wichita, Podcast Solutions, podcast gear for beginners.com. Started selling podcast tables, like really taking some steps into business. I learned video. I learned how to podcast. I hosted the podcast camp, teaching other people how to podcast. And that's really kind of become who I am. I think is this content creator. Like I want to create video. I want to create audio. I want to help people with their businesses, building websites, inbound marketing, SEO, like all that stuff. It just kind of ties together the content creation. But I think the biggest shift was getting married and having a family, and then really hammering down on what truly matters in life. Like what really matters. If you took it all away tomorrow, like what would be the biggest loss? And I would have to say the family, having people around me who love me, and getting into having a family life. Celebrating birthdays, celebrating holidays, celebrating the feasts. That's something that started happening. Feast of Tabernacles, Passover, Hanukkah, all these different things. Starting to observe that and seeing Christ and all of that, and making that a part of our life, and shifting the culture of our family. All of that stuff is really important to me. And so I look back on all the events that happened, and I look forward to, like, from 40 to 50, what's that going to look like? And honestly, I only have a couple of desires. There's a couple things that I want to see happen in my 40s. And number one is I want to be more easygoing. And when I say that, like you guys, I'm tired of my dickish tendencies. Like I get emotional thinking about that. Like there's some sort of fracture in my soul. There's fracture in my whatever it is, my inner person, my inner child, something in there that still causes me to be angry for no reason and to lash out in anger, to be impatient, to be unkind, to be mean, to use sarcasm and humor, to be cutting. And I've recognized that as a problem in the past, but I just want to be way more easygoing. Like it's not that I don't want to care. Like I want to care. I feel like in the past, my tendency was to default to just not caring. I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to care. And if I don't care, well, then I can't get hurt. But it's not even that. I want to heal from wounds of life that I've carried with me for decades. And I want to be more easygoing. I want to be more patient. I want to be more kind. I want to be more chill. I want to be more relaxed. I want to be okay with not doing so much. Like I want to do things. I want to work out. I want to eat right. Like I want to climb mountains. I want to ride bikes. I want to produce media. I want to do education. I want to do all these things, but I also want to be okay with doing nothing if the time calls for nothing to be done. Like, am I at peace enough? Do I have enough shalom to be able to just sit and do nothing? You know, the past couple of days, so I'd been sick with COVID, and the past couple of days I've felt better, but I've also had something telling me to just chill out and take it easy. And I've gone to sleep earlier than I normally do, and I've slept a lot later than I have recently. I've been getting up out of bed, 10 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10:30, or I'll wake up at 7, get up, drink some water, use the restroom, lay down on the couch, look at my phone, and fall back asleep for like another 2-3 hours. And waking up, and there's not been this urgency to like get out of bed. And some people might call that laziness. I'm calling that maturity. I'm looking at it and saying, you know what? I'm okay with just existing. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I don't have anything to prove to myself in that. Like, I've been okay simply resting. And I'm not saying that not being able to rest or calm down or slow down or do nothing is a sign of immaturity for anybody else. I'm saying it has been for me. I've always been the go, go, go. And it hurts my heart because I think back on the early days of marriage, and I was such a go, go, go person that I missed out on a lot of time of just existing with Kim and just being. And I don't want to waste that time anymore. I don't want to waste those moments. And it's still going to be, again, I'm not saying I've arrived, but this is something that I want to see happen. I want to chill the hell out. And I want it to be said of me that Jason really, he really calmed down. And it's not that I calmed down that I began to do nothing, but it's that I got focused on what really mattered. And I had a plan and I had a strategy and I was laser focused. And so there will be times where I'm laser focused on work and building business. And there will be times where I'm just laser focused on just existing and just being. And so I don't want to end this conversation. I just wanted to kind of commemorate the time and the thoughts and the things that have been going through my head over the past couple of days. And I really want to use media to capture that. And I wonder how I can maybe use this as a way to help other people as well. Like this video log of life, this audio library of life, to look back at certain moments, certain milestones, certain ages. Yeah, 40, 45. Let's talk about, hey, I'm halfway through my 40s. What's that going to look like? Who am I now? Where was I? What's significant? How have I changed? How have I accomplished those goals? How have have people seen me change? Have I done the things that I've sought out to do? I just love that idea. Using media, and that's a big deal for me too. Like, let's use it. Let's use it to make a difference. Let's use it to be a library of our life's thoughts. I take notes, but I also have a voice recorder on my phone, right? Like most phones have a voice app where you can take notes and just make little thoughts here and there. And I just love that idea. I think that's powerful, and powerful for others if they can get a hold of it, but powerful for you to be able to commemorate and set up milestones and look back and celebrate and think about moving forward and what that's going to look like. And so what a crazy thing to consider. What's the next decade going to look like for me? What's 40 to 50 going to look like for me? It's insane to think that I've existed 4 decades on the earth. I remember being young. I remember being a teenager and thinking, what's it going to be like when I'm 20? What's it going to be like when I'm 30? Like, holy crap, here it is. I'm 40. What's it going to be like when I'm 50? But we have the power, my friends. We have the power of decision. We have the power of our words. My good friend Josh always says, words create worlds. And so we have the power to create a world, to create and influence an environment, to influence the trajectory of our life, to influence the outcome of our life and the lives of others as well. There's power to decide, and there's power in our words and the things that we speak and say and do. And so I hope you're encouraged by that. I don't really know what else I want to come of this. Yeah. Anyways, here we go. Here's to 40 years of life, my friends.